Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm here again with another tutorial, and this tutorial focuses on the upper part of this dress. So the upper part of this dress is a transparent inbuilt corset, and at the time of editing this video I wasn't done with the dress, so I couldn't just put up a video of the complete look. Okay, but these are the materials I worked with. The lower part of this dress will require a lace, while the upper part you're going to use a tulle net, and you're going to use any other fabric of your choice as the main fabric. So before going into the tutorial, I'm just going to do an introduction for those who are new here. My name is Ini. I make tutorials and I upload almost every day, so subscribe to this channel and you're not going to regret it, guys. Without saying too much, I'm just going to go ahead with the pattern drafting. So this right here is my pattern paper, and I just drew the lines, the horizontal lines for basic bodice, even though I didn't complete it because I will not be making use of the upper part. So this dress does not have any yoke. Those straps you saw at the upper part is just going to be like some spaghetti straps. So this is just like a simple corset, and the way I'm going to draft this is like the easiest way you can ever draft your corset. So I'll be making use of bra cups. So I just labeled all these lines so that everything is easy to follow. Okay, so these are the bra cups I made use of, and you just need to get your size. The bust size I was working with is bust 36, and I got an exact 36 cup. But if you do not want your bust to look like the thumbnail that's as fitted as that, you need to get 2 inches higher than your normal size. Okay, so because this bra cup is not the push-up type, I'm just going to be creating a simple dart on this cup so that it makes the bra cup fuller. All I needed to do was get to the bottom part of the cup, and I marked half of an inch. Then I made the darts to be 2 inches long, and I'm just going to connect. I'll stitch on that point, and then I would have a cup that will be fuller now after doing that. So I marked the half of an inch on the bust line through to the under bust line. This is going to serve as a bust bridge. If you've watched any other tutorial of mine, you know what that means. So what I simply did now was to bring that bra cup. I made the dart on. You can see how curved it was now looking after creating that dart. So I simply put the bra cup on the pattern paper like this, and this whole thing depends on your preference. So I placed it making sure that the tip of the cup was touching the bust bridge. So it was at this point I actually noticed that this cup is a very small sized, that is like the size is actually smaller than the 36 I got. I don't know, these days they do these bra cups and it's smaller, but for you to be on the safe side, you want to make sure you're placing your tape from the center of your paper and you're taking your bust span measurements to confirm that this cup is going to be okay. So I placed that there, and then I noticed that the upper part of the cup was not covered enough. That's if I use this cup the way it is, the upper part will be too exposed. So what I'm going to do now is that when I'm cutting the upper part of this cup, I would have to add to the top part. So this was when I noticed. But anyways, I just bent the cup like this. Don't press it. When you place it like this, don't apply any force. Just mark that point like this, and it's really that simple. So this was the point where I was trying to check and analyze how many inches I would need to add at the top part to make this cup normal. So if you want to check this for yourself, all you need to do is to place the tape from the sharpest point of the bust, the bra cup, that should be the nipple point, and you take it up higher, that's above, to see how many inches you have there. Okay, so this will give you a guide to know how exposed the body is going to be when you're done sewing. So I was going to add 1 inch when I'm cutting on the fabric. In case you're a beginner and you're a bit confused, the top line would have served as the shoulder slope, where I would now slant my armhole, that I get my armhole curve at the 7.5 inches in my own case. So now the armpit area is where the corset is going to start from. I really hope you understand this, because in that picture you see that the upper part was exposed and we don't have anything covering that part. In case you still don't get it, just check the description box. I'll be linking other corset tutorials on this channel. Once you're done settling the cup area, getting the right size and everything, getting the bust bridge, all you need to do is to get the round measurements divided by 4 and place it on this pattern paper. So the bust line, you're just going to drop your bust measurement divided by 4 and your underbust, you're going to drop the measurements divided by 4. On the underbust, I dropped the measurements. On the waistline, I dropped the round measurements, and on the hip measurements, on the hip line, I dropped the round hip divided by 4. Then I connected everything. Once everything is settled like this, all I need to do now is to decide the length of the corset. The rule of thumb for length of corset is that from your half cut, which is your waistline, add 4 to 6 inches. Don't make it longer than this, because if it's longer, the person is not going to be comfortable in the corset, and that's why you see people not comfortable and they are struggling to sit down when they make corsets. Okay, so what this means now is that this new line I just drew is the full length of this corset top. So I just labeled that FL, meaning full length. Also highlighted it with a marker so that it is obvious that we are not working with the other part of this pattern. So one thing I forgot to mention is that on the waistline I subtracted 2 inches from the round measurement. This means that the original round waist of this client is 30 inches, but since this is a corset, I subtracted 2 inches, making it 28 inches. So some people go as far as 3 inches to 4 inches, but please just do what works for you. And the aim is not to look suffocated in the corset, it's just to look snatched and more beautiful. So do what works for you anyways. So this is my picture from my academy. For someone like me that has a flat stomach already, my normal round waist is 28 inches. All I do is just subtract 1 inch only, because I don't want to be looking like something is wrong with me when there's nothing. So I don't need to do any snatching because my waist is already very flat. Okay, so but if the person is really big, I think the highest you should do is just 3 inches, except you're trying to do something that is really snatched. Okay, so now I just outlined all the lines and I added just half of an inch as the seam allowance. We're going to be working with a transparent mesh, that's the skin mesh, and you don't need so much allowance when you are working with that. So I transferred all the lines to the back and I'm going to draft the back pattern. So what I simply did now was that from the center line I just started transferring the exact measurements I had. On the full length, I transferred it to that point. On the waistline, I transferred the same measurement so that everything comes out looking the same. So if you watched videos where I drafted patterns, you're going to understand how I got the lines and how I'm doing the continuous drafting method. By the way, thank you so much for the love on my previous post. I noticed I got so many new subscribers from that video. If you are new here and you just subscribed, please drop a comment if you're also watching this video. Thank you so much, and I'll be expecting your comments. Follow on Instagram and I would really appreciate it. So you can see that I was just transferring all the lines. That's all the exact measurements. So on the lines here, I transferred, even on that hole, that's that side where we have the bust, I transferred the same dimension to the other part. It's really so easy. So I just highlighted all this and I drew it exactly just the way it is, so that when I'm joining on the sides I'll have the same length. So for the center back, you can decide you want to take it down a bit, or you can even decide you want to take it higher, but all you need to make sure of is that the side seams are having the same length. So for this video, for the sake of this dress, I left everything straight as it is, and this is where I was trying to confirm that the both side seams are going to align and they have the same dimensions. And so since this is a corset, from the center back I'm just going to take my spacing, that's I'm going to remove some measurements for the lace up. So from the chest area I took out 1.25 inches, and then on the waist point I just took out about half of an inch, because I wanted this to not to be too open like the previous corset I made. So because I'm not going to be using a modesty panel for this, I want it to look something like this. I'll put up a picture if I can, so that you have an idea of what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to make a highlight of everything I've done so far so that everything is clear. Then I'll start cutting. So I started cutting from the bottom part, and then I'll go ahead and cut at the sides, cut out the bust bridge and cut out the cup area, and that's all for the front pattern. So for the back pattern, I started out with the lacing bar, the area where we have the lace, and then I cut out the sides, then I cut out the top part, and that's all about the pattern. For the covering of the cup, I'm making use of this technique I have shared multiple times on this channel. In case you don't know about it, I'm going to drop a link that would help you so you can see how to do this. This is because the cups were not drafted and we used the bra cup, so we need to make sure we get covers for this bra cup. So once I was done doing this, I placed them on another paper so that I can transfer the sewing allowance to them. Remember, we cut this out and we're going to join them back, so we're going to need 1/2 inch all around it. And you remember the top part I said was not covered enough. I'm going to add 1 inch at the top part. I'd go ahead and cut this out, and this is going to serve as the new patterns I'm going to be working with. So I'll place them on the fabric I'm working with, and I'm going to stay this fabric like I always do. So I'm going to be cutting out this fabric as the main piece, and I'm going to be using it for the lining as well. This fabric is on a fold, and this means that I have 2 pieces for number 1 and I also have 2 pieces for the number 2. But it doesn't stop at that. I still placed this on the fabric again to cut out the lining pieces. Don't forget to make your labels. I always emphasize on this when you're making corset cups, because it's going to help you to avoid mixing up your fabrics. So once I was done cutting, I had 4 pieces for number 1 and I had 4 pieces for number 2. But the reason why I was using marker on this fabric was because I was going to cover it with the lace. As you can see, the ink was already trying to overflow to the main fabric, so please don't try this on your fabrics. Make sure you're using a fabric marker that can go off easily. So that's why I used it, because I was going to cover it with lace. Now this is the tulle net that I'm going to be using for the main body, and this fabric, each pattern is going to have about 8 pieces. So now you have a part that stretches and you have a part that does not stretch. The length of the pattern is going to be placed on the part that stretches. Okay, you don't want the stretchy part on the width area. So I folded these up to like 4 times before I started cutting. In case this folding is going to confuse you or is going to make your cutting inaccurate, please be patient and cut them one after the other so that you don't have issues with your cutting, especially for the front that is going to be on a fold. So what did I say? The length is going to be on that part that stretches. So I did my cutting off the camera, and this is what it looks like. So the front is going to be on a fold. Please don't make the mistake of cutting it into pieces, because we are not going to have any joining in the front. So I added 1/2 inch. Then for some reasons I added 1.5 inches at the bottom part, because the person I'm making this dress for is tall, and the design I'm going to be working with looks something like this. I'll put a picture up. This is my graduation dress, and this design kind of requires space to maneuver when I attach the skirt. So these pieces were up to 8, but I'm not going to use the complete 8. You're just going to check to see what works for you. That's the transparency. But in everything you do, make sure you're not using less than 5 pieces, because this is tulle and it is so light. So this was me trying to check what fabric I should use under that's as the boning channels and how I would like the thickness to be. So I cut out these pieces, and I cut the back as well, but for the back I added 1/2 inch all around it, and I also did not forget to add that same 1.5 inches that I added to increase the length. So remember I said 4 to 6 inches is the highest you can make, and I made use of 5 inches. So I changed my mind now and I'm adding 1.5 inches, but of course the 1/2 inch is going to go away when I turn over the bottom area. So I hope this does not confuse you in any way. I only added the 1 inch because of the design I'm working with. I just felt like that 5 inch from the half cut is a bit short. I just wanted to add it. Okay, so I also added this clip to show you the back, where I added 1/2 inch and I cut exactly at the side, then I added the length. If you learned anything from this video, please make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notification bell, because I'll be uploading the sewing tutorial after this one if I am able to record every part. Okay, bye.